Okay, who else has had a hard time sleeping lately? I know it's not just me. So many people have recently been mentioning that they're struggling with this. So let's talk about it. God has promised that He gives rest to those He loves. Now, I know God loves me, so I got to wonder, why am I not sleeping awesome? Why am I not able to sleep at times? I mean, I know that God is always faithful and He always follows through with what He says, right? God's not going to promise me rest and then wake me up to have me stare at the dark ceilings for kicks, for no big reason. So there's got to be something that on my end that needs attention. So we're going to uncover this. I've done a lot of work in the past dealing with sleep issues. And I've got a whole module in my signature program, Warrior Wellness, which is open. It's open now with a huge discount till the end of today. Just, just heads up there. uh, but I want to dig into all of this stuff again, all of the sleep stuff, because the issue has popped up again in my life. And I know in a lot of other people's worlds, dealing with sleep has been an issue. So, first, let's talk about the importance of sleep and resetting the circadian rhythm. How important is sleep to you? I mean, have you made it a priority in your life? We have to make it a priority in order for us to reap the benefits of it. It's like a given. Don't prioritize sleep. We need to, especially if we want the benefits. Did you know that the lack of sleep can affect the body the same way as being alcohol impaired? You've probably heard that, or maybe even noticed on some level. There was a television game show about keeping people awake for over 24 hours and then giving them tasks to complete. And they just called this entertainment, watching people, being delirious, trying to compete. I don't think it's funny. I mean, because I have learned how important sleep is. So I just think that's kind of ridiculous. Anyway, we're going to talk about our circadian rhythm today and how we can actually reset it in order to have optimal performance in our body just throughout our daily life. So, our circadian rhythm is a 24-hour rhythm that our body goes through that lets us function in the environment that we're in. It determines our hormone levels, our appetite, our cortisol levels, and our body's ability to recover from stress overload, whatever stress that is. So I want to talk melatonin for a minute. Sometimes this can be a supplement that's taken to help with sleep, right? But here's something to understand. Melatonin it's not like a nutrient. It's a neurotransmitter in the brain, and it's triggered by light or lack of light. So when we're exposed to darkness, we produce melatonin, and melatonin then makes us fall asleep. And after sufficient sleep, another hormone called cortisol kicks in and triggers us to wake up. And then I will want to circle back to this melatonin topic later, but that's just part of our circadian rhythm, is this neurotransmitter melatonin. So our body needs this sleep, and it's absolutely critical if we want to sustain an emotional, mental, and physical health. In our sleep, the body is actually ridding itself of toxins, and we get rejuvenated. So even people with healthy metabolisms will suffer from symptoms of lack of sleep if they're not getting quality sleep. Have you noticed that quality counts too? It's not just about quantity. So lack of sleep affects the body's ability to burn fat. It increases cortisol. It elevates our stress hormones, and it increases our leptin levels. And those leptin levels, actually all of that, increase our appetite. And also when cortisol levels are on the rise, so is irritability. Yeah, I'm sure you've noticed when we're tired, we're a little bit more irritable. I know there have been seasons in my life where I was tired of being irritated all the time. And I think I was really just tired in general. But if you get disrupted sleep, your body will be anxious to get a hold of anything that will give it energy. And so cravings for sugary and carby things will give our body like that extra hit of fuel, of the quick fuel, you know, and that's not going to sustain us, right? We'll be craving the quick carbohydrate fix all day. Typically, when people go through seasons where they're not getting enough sleep, body fat rises. So the great thing to know about that is that sleep can be an answer to getting rid of some of the extra body fat that is sticking around, you know? Just saying. I realize that there are things, though, that we can't help when it comes to quality of sleep. But let's look at the importance of okay, so lack of sleep increases fat storage. What else does it do? There's a number of other things that it does. It weakens our immune system. You guys, these are not the days to have a weak immune system, right? It's not. Holy cow, last week at my son's school, they sent the whole 7th grade class home because of exposure to that crazy sickness going around. And my 8th grader was sent home too until he got a negative test. We want to make sure that our immune systems are in tip-top shape, right? Aside from sleep, you guys, using a good hand sanitizer and a non-toxic cleaner to spray down my house has helped a ton. If you want to smell like fall and have a sanitizer that's not only going to kill the bad germs, but boost your immunity, Thieves. Thieves is the way to go. I'm telling you, I love it. Thieves is a combo of essential oils. And I just have to tell you a story real quick. During the Black Plague, there was a band of thieves that were looting people that were sick and dead bodies. They were looting all of the people that have been victimized by the Black Plague. They became victims to these thieves as well. And they were totally getting away with it because, of course, nobody wanted to go near the disease. And when officials finally caught these thieves, they cut them a deal. If the thieves shared their secret on how they didn't get sick while they plundered, then they would get a lighter punishment. And so they shared that it was a combination of herbs that kept them healthy and free from the Black Plague. Yeah, that's how powerful this combination is. So you bet I'm like slathering all that. I'm slathering that all over our surfaces and all over my hands. Just saying, I'll post a link to that in the comments afterwards, but you might want to get a hold of some of that. All right, so immune system. Lack of sleep affects our immune system. I want to get back to some other side effects of poor sleep. 10 more side effects. Well, it weakens our respiratory system. It contributes to diabetes, to depression, weight gain. We talked about that. Fatigue, obviously. It affects our skin. lack of coordination, memory loss, hallucination, and of course, food cravings, right? So Ariana Huffington, author of the Sleep Revelation, and that she says that when you find depression, even when you find anxiety, when you scratch the surface, 80 to 90% of the time, you find a sleep problem as well. That's huge, right? If you are suffering from anxiety or depression at all, sleep might be the answer, at least a big contributing part of the answer. So when it comes to poor sleep, there's a common health symptom that's kind of this tired but wired feeling, like you're exhausted but your mind is running and you feel a bit amped up. And another common experience is waking up with a surge of adrenaline in the night and being unable to go back to sleep. Let me know if you've experienced that. Yeah, I sure have. Lack of sleep is going to affect every area of our life. And in Warrior Wellness, we show up and give you the tools to walk through some of these things and help in this critical area of making sleep a priority. We go about resetting the whole circadian rhythm. But after your circadian is reset, like the body is totally happy and able to rest for 7 or 8 hours. And it's so beneficial. Okay, I do want to mention that rest is really beneficial as well. It's not just sleep. When we put so much pressure on ourselves, it's harder to sleep, right? So I was listening to this great interview with Dr. Chris Winter. He's a neurologist and a sleep expert. And he stated how he has seen many people who think they sleep terrible and then perform at a lower level to the next day. But it's not that they necessarily do sleep terrible, they just think they do. And then there's those who have slept less than an ideal amount, and yet they're confident they'll be fine the next day, and they're able to function great. So the way we think really plays a big part. So we've addressed how lack of sleep affects our bodies and emotions a little bit. Before digging into some practical tips, because I do have practical tips, of course, on how we can get some better sleep, just some tools that you can start applying. But I want to look at scripture first and see what God says about sleep. You know, despite what anybody might say about it, the truth is sleep is spiritual. Absolutely. I remember years ago, I had a friend and he didn't sleep much. He was this brilliant guy, but he didn't sleep much at all. And he would say, I'll sleep when I'm dead. God's got things for me to do. Now I would tell him, if that's the way you want to live, dude, you'll get your chance to do that sooner rather than later. Because studies show that lack of sleep lead to an early death. You guys, if you're running on fumes and pushing through just till the next season or whatever, you could be cutting decades off your lifespan. But there's really no need for that. I mean, God is able to keep the world turning so that we can rest. Our God needs no sleep, and so he can easily keep guard over us, over our lives, our ministries, our responsibilities, so that we can rest. Psalm 121, 2-5 says, my help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. He will not let you fall. Your guardian will not fall asleep. Indeed, the guardian of Israel never rests or sleeps. The Lord is your guardian. The Lord is the shade over your right hand. And then Psalm 127 states that God grants sleep to the ones he loves, to those he loves, not just those who have lived a perfect day and did everything right. He grants sleep to those he loves. It's not those who are the most fruitful, who have all their bills figured out, have good relationships with everyone, who look a certain way. It's he gives sleep to those he loves. He loves you. He wants to grant you rest. What if we went to bed at night and imagined, imagined in our mind, nestling in with a God who loves us and will protect us? What if you were able to surrender the worries of the day you lived and the worries of tomorrow to the one who is more than able to handle all the details? Instead of letting our thoughts and our body rule the night, what if we let the Spirit rule? What if we were still in our being and just listened? Can we be still in our bed and hear the Lord rejoice over us with song as we go to sleep? I just want you to imagine God tucking you in under the shadow of his wings as you climb into bed tonight. Our God designed our body so brilliantly. All of his creation works in this beautiful rhythm. You see the earth and the seasons it goes through and the stages humans live, right? The daily pattern of morning, noon, and night. Our bodies, they work in rhythm, and he designed them to heal and endure and to strive and restore. There's a season for everything under the sun and a time daily for rest and rejuvenation. Have you ever noticed that God rested on the seventh day of creation, but that was man's first day? In order to do all the things God has destined for us to do, we rest and we realize that he is the ultimate creator and that all he has made is good. Psalm 3:5 states, I lie down and sleep, I wake again because the Lord. So inside Warrior Wellness, I've included printables with scriptures to read and truths to proclaim when you're having a hard time resting. But if you're not in there, if you're not in Warrior Wellness, it's fine. I just encourage you to do a little research in the Word and make your own scripture cards to just have on hand on those particular evenings where you're finding it hard to rest. Now, Dr. Winters, the neurologist and sleep expert I was mentioning, he stated that there was a small study that showed little difference between the functionality of those who have slept and those who have just rested but didn't sleep. And I love this. If you can't go to sleep and yet you're tired, can you be content laying in your bed and resting, praying, or thinking about some good things? I know for me, there was a time recently when I woke up at like 1 or 2 and I could not go back to sleep. My mind was just like racing with things that I needed to get done. And so I just got up and I grabbed a pen and a paper and I wrote them down. And then I went back to bed and fell asleep. I've really learned that writing things down will allow the brain to rest because it's not trying to remember all these things anymore, right? Once it's written, the brain can relax. So the next night, I just grabbed my notebook that if it happened again, I wouldn't even need to get up. So if there's things that are making you anxious that you know you need to do, I would just suggest writing it down. And if that doesn't help, if you wake up, just get up and do it. What's the point in us just lying there making ourselves anxious about it? Get up, do it, and then go back to bed and rest. Okay, so for some really practical and tangible things to help your body sleep, I want to give you a few things. Now, a nighttime routine and ritual is a must, you guys. This helps our body and our brain kind of get into sleep mode. We can't just cook dinner, tend to chores, and the stimulation of the list and kids and engage in the TV shows that stimulates all these kinds of brain chemicals and then expose our brains to all the blue light of the screens as we scroll, and do those last minute emails, and then all of a sudden climb in bed and tell our body to sleep. How do we expect our poor bodies to rest after we've treated it that way? Okay, so the first things first, just get a nighttime ritual. Graduate the routine to a ritual and get some moral value behind the way you wash your face and brush your teeth in the evening. Write down your to-dos for the next day so you don't wake up in the middle of the night thinking about them. Um, you know, these things. And as you do your nighttime ritual, um, your body will get the message to chill out as you turn your bed down and maybe do some journaling or reading, or as you put on your white noise and turn on your diffuser. It just helped. I'm just encouraging you to just help your body out. Let it wind down and relax so that it can really feel like it can rest and sleep now. Setting the circadian rhythm does not only mean having a set bedtime, but it also includes waking up at the same time every morning. This really helps to set that circadian rhythm. And ideally, we want to expose our body to sun in the morning. So we want to go out first thing, and the body just will respond so beautifully to this. No matter what the weather is, the air and the sun, it benefits our bodies so great as it just comes, it gets roused out of the restful state and just ready for the day. So I'm going to just list off a few more things because we don't have time to go into a ton of detail about all of this stuff. But here are some practical steps that can really help you out. After nighttime routine, do a morning routine. Wake up at the same time every morning. Go outside first thing. Limit your screen time before bed. Use incandescent lights instead of the LEDs. If you have babies at night and are getting up a lot, you can get a red light that will really help with that. And there's a study that shows that the melatonin sold at stores has anywhere from 0 to 30% of actual melatonin. So you just don't know. So as always, research what you're putting into your body and know that this can occasionally be helpful. Like if you're traveling from time zones or things, or things have been particularly challenging, but a better way to produce melatonin is really to create that lack of light in the evening. That will boost those neurotransmitters in your head. So whether it's wearing blue light blocking glasses, dimming the lights after dinner, just these types of things will really help. Another thing that is helpful is turning off the Wi-Fi at night. I know this isn't always practical, but it's a great thing to do if you can. If you can't turn your Wi-Fi, I would just recommend you put your phone on airplane mode, and you can keep your phone plugged in across the room or even in another room altogether. Don't drink caffeine after 2 or 3 in the afternoon. And if your symptoms are bad, I would recommend not having caffeine after 10 a.m. And another cool thing that will help is creating your environment, the room temperature. When you lower the room temperature, it will help your body. If you keep your room between like 60 and 67 degrees when you sleep, and that's proven to be super helpful. And then, of course, don't drink anything 90 minutes before heading to bed because, sometimes the bladder will wake us up. So we can prevent that by just avoiding beverages before bed. And one last thing I want to bring up. In my devotional this morning, the topic was contentment. And it's so incredibly important that we live a life of gratitude, like drinking in all the goodness of God's grace, all of his grace to us and the beauty that he surrounds us. This will completely shape the way we experience life. at the end of Psalm 17, which was written by King David. And you know, he was hunted. He was hunted before he became king. He had armies after him. He had a very trying life. But in the last verse of the psalm, it states, "As for me, I will be vindicated, and I will see your face. When I awake, I will be satisfied with seeing your likeness." So the Message version, it states, "Because I am righteous, I will see you. When I awake, I will see you face to face and be satisfied." Remember that study that showed those who thought they'd slept well, those who believed they were rested enough, didn't really suffer ill effects the next day? I know I've experienced this, you know, after a night of little sleep, being able to rise and rejoice, even if my body didn't get the sleep that I had really wanted. You know, to be able to have a good attitude and be able to give a little extra nourishment and boosts of goodness throughout the day, um, and still function great, even on less sleep. Gratitude and contentment, like they're incredibly powerful. Incredibly powerful. So even if you're not getting the best sleep, I just want to encourage you to focus on the good things. Focus on the good things, because contentment, I mean, it's powerful. Okay, I hope this was helpful for you. You know, I love hearing from you. So please leave a comment about what you liked today, and what you want to hear more about. If you have any questions, I would love to connect, and I'll be sure to go back and respond to anyone who has commented. Oh, one more thing. There was another interview that I listened to it was a different neurologist. And he said he made it a habit to think about 3 things that went well that day before he drifted off to sleep. And that really set him up for success. Anyway, I just wanted to chime that and put that in there too. Now, before I sign off, I just have to tell you about these earrings. Look at these earrings. They're from Trades of Hope. And this is a company that I partner with to sell products made by artisans all over the world. They create jobs for women overcoming poverty. It's really about keeping loved children out of orphanage, which is like, it's really common. Most children in orphanages actually have loving, living relatives, but they were given up because there was a lack of food or safe shelter. There just wasn't any. It also prevents human trafficking, and it supports survivors. You know, people are less vulnerable to trafficking if they earn a living wage, and survivors find healing in safe, supportive jobs, like what Trades of Hope provides. It also educates girls who have been used to being overlooked. Far less girls than boys are educated globally. So educating girls lowers rates of poverty and child marriage, right? Obviously. So these earrings that I've got on today are made in the Philippines. And in the Philippines, finding employment as a woman in poverty can be like extremely difficult. You know, there's poor working conditions, lack of job security, and unfair pay. It's like often the reality for women there. But through these purchases, like these earrings, these women are receiving an income and healthcare and social development programs. This allows women to realize, pursue their dreams of a safe environment. I mean, so shopping with Trades of Hope, like, actually gives us an opportunity to change lives this way without having to like fly overseas and be some huge philanthropist, you know? I love that. So an artisan from the Philippines, one of them, Trades of Hope, a gal named Rachel. She said, for years, my husband traveled 6 days a week to provide for our basic needs. But my work, binding cap his shells for jewelry at home, is a big help to us. It helps us save money to start a small business so my husband can stay with us. Did you catch that? The husband stayed home and they were able to start a small business. Oh my gosh. So we partner to help keep families together by providing these fair trade jobs in remote villages so parents can stay with their families. Um, Alan's story, she married an artisan from a workshop, and together they had 3 children. And she really wanted to help her husband provide for their needs. And so she learned what she needed to begin working for this workshop as a piece rate artisan. And as the mother of an autistic child, she was being paid per piece rather than working an hourly schedule. And it gave her the freedom and the flexibility to work when it worked for her and her family. And her income allows her to send her kids to school, provide her child with autism, with the special education classes. She's always eager to learn. And so she's not only a skilled caphez shell, she's not skilled with just the shells, but also soap, lotion. She's a cologne artisan, and she's learned computer programming. Through trades of hope, you guys. So these earrings, these shell earrings, these ones have black frames, but they also have gold and silver ones. It's so cool. So I'm going to post links below so that you can access all the things I've mentioned. I just wanted to share a little bit of that with you guys. Okay, I love you all. God bless, Godspeed. Have a fantastic weekend.